everybody. Here we are at 7:30 p.m. on Thursday evening, and we're going to do weather for Weather Geeks. It's the Valley's most detailed, in-depth weather forecast video. Interesting times over the last couple of days. We had some flooding downpours in parts of Mahoning and Trumbull counties yesterday. Today, it was primarily southern Columbiana County, and pretty early in the day, that got absolutely slammed. I wanted to show you a radar loop from this morning. The waves of rain just kept coming and coming as we saw some training of these echoes across the Route 30 corridor and points south primarily, and then this wrapped up around 9:30 to 10 a.m. An actual rain gauge, and actually this is my rain gauge. 24-hour rainfall total here. We have this labeled as Calcutta. Technically it's a little bit closer to Glenmore, kind of just west of Calcutta and northwest of East Liverpool, south of West Point and Lisbon, a few miles north of Wellsville, downtown Wellsville. That's where I live, and I had 3 inches worth of rain since midnight. And you'll notice how amounts dropped off pretty significantly once you get off to the north. This was primarily south of Lisbon and down towards the Ohio River that we had all the water this morning. Didn't see a lot of reports of any sort of major flooding problems or anything like that, but this was one heck of a deluge that I woke up to across my neck of the woods early this morning. All right, so let's put a bow on the month of June. It's going to go into the record books as a wetter than average month at the airport, mostly thanks to a couple days ago on Tuesday the 29th, 2.78 inches of rain. That's almost half of what we had for the whole month. 5.73 is the monthly total, 1.83 inches above the average. Prior to this week, it was getting kind of dry in parts of the area. Prior to Tuesday's 2.78, we were running some deficits for the month of June. Temperature-wise, no surprise, it was warmer than average, and by a fair margin as well. This will go down as a tie for the 9th warmest June on record around here, and this is actually our warmest June since 1949. Ended up about 3 and some change degrees warmer than the average. A wintertime temperature departure like that is not a big deal, but in the warm weather season, a +3 is a pretty significant number because typically our departures from average are not as high in the summer season as they are in winter when we can have more variable weather patterns. So we did a heat wave earlier this week with 90 on Sunday, 92 Monday, and 93 on Tuesday. Kind of rare around here to have an official heat wave in the month of June. It doesn't happen very often, much more likely in the months of July and early on in August. All right, so we're halfway through 2021. How's the year shaping up? Well, through the first 6 months of the year, we are at plus 1.180 degrees above average. We've had a little back and forth, more so this year than some of our most recent years, but after a warm January, of course, February turned very cold, particularly in the middle of the month, and then spring got off to a pretty fast start in March and into April, and then a cooler May, including, of course, a little bit of snow around Mother's Day, and then, as I mentioned, June goes into the record books as a few degrees warmer than average. We are still running some decent rainfall and total precipitation deficits for the year. Through the first half of the year, we're still running 2 and 2.31 inches below the average. New Philly at -5, a -7 or so at Zanesville, almost -5 up in Erie. Pittsburgh is kind of an anomaly here. They're actually a little bit closer to average, but yeah, we were below average precipitation-wise during a lot of the winter, and then we made up some ground at times in the spring, and then June was pretty dry until the last minute. And over the last couple of days, we did have, of course, quite a bit of rain. All right, what about July? This is the outlook from the Climate Prediction Center, part of the National Weather Service, and I agree with what they have out. Another month that favors a lack of high heat in the deep south, kind of like June. So in a place like Dallas or Birmingham or Little Rock, it's not been a very hot summer so far, and July should follow suit. Much like June, odds favor a pretty strong warm signal out here in the western U.S., northern tier of states, East Coast, pretty good odds of warmer than average around here. The odds aren't quite as high, but I think it's more likely that we have a warmer than average month than a cooler than average month in July. What about precipitation? Pretty strong odds of a wetter than average month in the deep south, drier than average in the northern Rockies, northern plains. Around here, it's a little bit closer of a call, but if I were a betting man, I would say it's more likely that we have a somewhat wetter than average July than a drier than average month. Interestingly, July, compared to the average, has been pretty hot in recent years. 9 of the last 11 Julys have been warmer than the average. And as I just mentioned, this July likely to be warm and wet. How warm, how wet, that's a little bit of a tough call in this specific location. But again, when we're talking about odds, if we were wagering on it, the smart money would be on warmer than average and wetter than average. All right, not much wet weather out there this evening. Our last showers and storms along our cold front, pushing across I-70. And interestingly, this little cell, let's zoom in on this guy out here. This little guy that is dying off north of Columbus actually had a tornado warning on it earlier as it moved down through Marion. There was quite a bit of mid-level rotation with that, but that is petering out as it approaches Delaware County north of Columbus. All right, the dew points are coming down. We're down to 62. Hey, that's better than 70. And then we'll get the drier air to our north, and this is what's coming our way tomorrow. I don't think our dew points are going to drop into the 40s, but they'll drop down into the comfy 50s for tomorrow. Now, that being said, even though our cold front is clearing us, if you watch the water vapor imagery, look north of Ohio up into Ontario and Quebec. This is an upper level low that's dumbbelling down through the eastern lakes, and this will provide enough instability tomorrow that I do think there can be some pop-up showers, even a thunder shower here and there tomorrow. And might even be some water spouts over the Great Lakes tomorrow with all this cold air aloft and instability. So you're going to see that on our model. Things kind of on a popcorn pattern, midday and afternoon tomorrow. No saying, no telling who's going to get one and who's not, but the risk will be there for some spotty showers and a thunder shower, maybe even some grapple if some of these get tall enough in the sky. And then things are looking better for the weekend. I think the upper low is far enough to the east that we are rain-free on Saturday. East of I-79 out into central PA, that's a different story. But around here should be a pretty nice start to the holiday weekend. Now, there will be one more upper-level disturbance trying to pivot through Saturday night. I think Saturday night we might even squeeze out a shower or two across our area, but I'm optimistic that any showers would be gone by daybreak on Sunday. Should be a nice 4th of July with seasonably warm temperatures. Our average high on the 4th of July is about 82. That's about where we'll be on Sunday after a very comfortable day Saturday. And then as we go into Monday, that's Independence Day observed. I believe it's a federal holiday. And so some people that usually don't have Mondays off are going to have Monday off. And it's going to be a hot day. After the holiday, the heat and humidity is really going to crank up. And it's going to be here for a good chunk of next week. Pretty typical July weather next week, including the chance for a couple of 90-degree readings. All right, thank you for watching tonight. I always appreciate your viewership, and we'll do it again on Friday. Have a great rest of your Thursday night.